Hi, I'm Rachel, and this is my BookTube Spin number 6. The BookTube Spin was brought to BookTube by Rick McDonnell, who took it off of book blogging platforms, I believe. The general premise of this TBR game is to pick 20 books at random that you have some interest in reading, and then put them in a list, and then, announce that list somewhere. And then, the organizer of the TBR game, so Rick in this case, would do a little spinny thing. He'd spin a digital wheel, and we'd have to read whatever book came up on our list for the number he landed on. And this is a quarterly game, so now we're into the spring 2022 quarter, and Rick asked us, or encouraged us, to, spruce things up a bit and maybe, make a list of new books in a new type of category you've never done before. And of course, I haven't done any of that. I guess I'm banking on the fact that I'm on the Tatooine of BookTube. Maybe I'll go under the radar here, but basically, my list is almost exactly the same as my BookTube Spin number 5 list, except that I swapped out, the book I read for that one. So at the very least, I hope I can have your trust. I did not game the system in any way. I did also go ahead and post my official number 6 list onto Twitter a couple of days ago. And then on Friday, Rick spun his wheel. And I am here now to tell you what I intend to read. But first, I will go ahead and share my list again right here. So my first list is Jewish fiction, and number 1 is Winter Kept Us Warm by Anne Rafe, which follows friends through 6 decades and multiple continents. Number 2 is You'll Miss Me When I'm Gone by Rachel Lynn Solomon. This is young adult Israeli fiction about 2 sisters who go in different directions after they test themselves for a rare genetic disease. Number 3 is Secrets and Shadows by Roberta Silman, which is a couple confronts their past after the fall of the Berlin Wall. Number 4 is Caspian Rain by Gina B. Nahai. A young girl tries to save her family during the dawn of the Iranian Revolution. And number 5 is The Come Down by Rebecca Frumkin. This is a comic book about a drug dealer and an addict having to band together. Moving on to general fiction. Number 6 is 4 Sundays by Tola Rotimi Abraham. It's about 4 siblings, 2 decades in Nigeria. Number 7 is The Bass Rock by Evie Wilde. 3 women in 3 different time periods, the same sexism ruling their lives. Number 8 is White Elephant by Julie Langsdorff. Suburban satire taking place near Washington, D.C., which is the area I live in. Number 9 is The Sound of One Hand Clapping by Richard Flanagan. This is family drama in the mid-20th century in Tanzania. And number 10 is The Caregiver by Samuel Park. This is a mother-daughter story of care, rebellion big and small, and immigration in 1980s Rio de Janeiro and California. My third group is science fiction. Number 11 being Provenance by Anne Leckie. A fugitive looks to reclaim stolen treasure in space and finds herself embroiled in an alien plot, literally. Number 12 is Ancestral Night by Elizabeth Bear. A routine salvage mission in space goes awry when an ancient technology is uncovered. Number 13 is my new book, Pushing Ice by Alistair Reynolds. A rockhopper crew is tasked with tailing one of Saturn's moons as it breaks orbit and leaves the solar system. I wonder if this is Phoebe, like it is in The Expanse. Anyway. Number 14 is Dark Orbit by Carolyn Ives Gilman. Alien contact on a distant planet, with more of a murder mystery plot than is my usual, but we'll go with it. And number 15 is Martians Abroad by Carrie Vaughn. This is YA. A young Martian girl who dreams of spacefaring ends up getting sent to Earth instead. Womp womp. And finally, we have my fantasy section. Number 16 is The 100,000 Kingdoms by N.K. Jemisin. An estranged daughter is named heir to a king and thrust into an unwilling power struggle. Number 17 is The Unwilling by Kelly Braffett. The companion to a prince born with special powers finds herself prey to political machinations. Number 18 is The Vanished Queen by Lisbeth Campbell. A woman vows to take down a despotic king and, surprise, surprise, finds herself embroiled in court politics. Number 19 is A Queen in Hiding by Sarah Kozloff. an orphaned princess becomes a guerrilla fighter and must assemble a group of rebels to take back the kingdom. And finally, number 20 is The Waking Land by Callie Bates. A young woman returns to her magical homeland after she's accused of her foster father/king's murder. Okay, and what Rick does actually, he's taken to spinning twice, which I enjoy, not because I'm adding 2 books to my TBR. I have a lot on my TBR already, but I do use this as, you know, an extra layer of the game for me about which of the 2 books I'm going to choose to add to my TBR this quarter. Unfortunately, with this particular spin, or 2 spins, I ran into a little bit of a conundrum. The first number that Rick spun was 17, and the second number he spun was 20. And both of those numbers are in my fantasy section. And what I like to do is pit the 2 numbers against each other when they're in 2 different sections, and then I choose the book from the section I read least recently in this TBR game. So maybe if I really wanted to dive into fudged up rules, I could have gone for number 3 in Jewish fiction, which was Secrets and Shadows by Roberta Silman, because if you watch Rick's video, I'll link down below, he almost called number 3, but then he went for 20 instead. Apparently the wheel wasn't done spinning. But it's been a while, or a longer while, since I've read a Jewish fiction book for this game than it has I've read fantasy. But I've decided, what the hey, I'm just going to play by the rules as they are in this case, and I'm going with either choosing number 17 or number 20. And in this case, I'm going to go with number 17, which is The Unwilling by Kelly Braffett. It is perhaps a counterintuitive choice since I actually own book number 20 and I don't own book number 17. But that being said, because I own this book, this is also in the running for my other TBR game where I only choose from my physical unread books. And also I decided to choose number 17 because even though Rick was saying he doesn't think he chose 20 before, I know he did, because the last time I read a fantasy book for this game, I read book number 20. So I feel like book 17 is at least a little bit more new, in a way, you know. So there we go, one more book onto my TBR, although it probably will be up until June when I finally get around to reading it. We shall see. But that about covers it for me now, and I will leave the Goodreads links for all 20 of these books listed down below if you're curious for perhaps a more legitimate take than the summaries that I randomly cobbled together in my earlier section. And with that, I have to stop. I really have to stop making TBR lists. I have more books I need to read than I know what to do with. So it's time to move on to actually reading them rather than stacking them up. And that being said, in my next video, I'm going to look back onto some past reading and do a tag that I've sort of commandeered these past few months, which is the Would You Read It Challenge. And what I've been doing for that tag is I've been taking books I've read years in the past and picking them up and reading the first few paragraphs on this channel to, you know, perhaps generate interest or, you know, or thoughts or feelings about the books, and we'll see how it goes. A lot of us are still in the middle of springtime holidays over here as I film this. Last night I actually went to the second night Seder for Passover that my synagogue held, which was really nice for those of us who don't so easily have family Seders to go to, or otherwise might want to take part in a community Seder with the synagogue, which was especially you know, moving this year because it was the first time in 3 years that we could do it in person again. And it turned out really nice. There was someone at my table from my book club even, so I got to talk about books a bit at the Seder as well, so that was great. So yeah, I guess that wraps it about up for me, except to say thank you again to Rick for organizing this. I look forward to these videos every quarter. Thanks so much for watching, everyone, and I'll see you next time.